breaking news. U.S. and Israel join forces to exploit Iran's weakness and encourage protests. Report says, the United States and Israel have created a joint working group to support Iran's dissidents and encourage protests against Tehran, a bombshell report claimed. Representatives of Washington and Israel have been meeting for months in a bid to support groups against Iran's government, according to Israeli officials. American news outlet Axios published a report from Israeli journalist Barak Ravid, who was briefed by Israeli officials about the attempt of the White House and Israel to challenge Iran. The report said, Israel and the United States formed a joint working group a few months ago that is focused on internal efforts to encourage protests within Iran and pressure the country's government. Two Israeli officials told me the team was formed as a part of the U.S. Israeli framework document on countering Iran. The report noted the group has met already several times during the last few months and is overseen by U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton and his Israeli counterpart Meir Ben-Shabbat. It added, both Bolton and Ben-Shabbat think that raising internal pressure on the Iranian regime might have a positive influence on Iranian regional behavior. According to Axios, one of the Israeli officials reassured nobody is seriously thinking about regime change. But, he added, it's working towards exploiting Tehran's weaknesses, saying, this team is trying to see if we can use the internal weaknesses of the Iranian regime in order to create more pressure that will contribute to changing Iranian behavior. The bombshell report follows weeks of unrest in Iran, where groups of dissidents and citizens took to the streets to protest against the government. On June 30th alone, Saudi-owned news outlet Al Arabiya shared videos showing protests erupting across several cities in the southwestern area of Iran, reportedly calling for a change of regime. The Axios report also pointed out leading members of the two countries have started using social media to convey anti-regime messages to the Iranian people. The report said, Netanyahu has recently posted 4 different videos on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, translated to Farsi, in which he speaks to the Iranian people and encourages them to protest against the regime. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo wrote a series of tweets supporting the protesters in Iran, criticizing mass arrests of protesters by the Iranian regime and highlighting the regime's growing funding of the Revolutionary Guards Corps' controversy built over Iran's domestic spending. This series of protests follows the turmoils registered in December and January 2018. When some 75 provincial Iranian cities and towns called for a change. In that occasion, State Department's spokeswoman Heather Nauert condemned the arrest of peaceful protesters. She added, we urge all nations to publicly support the Iranian people and their demands for basic rights and an end to corruption. Tensions have been rising starkly between Tehran and the White House following Donald Trump's latest threat to reduce to zero Iran's oil exports and the May 8 decision to pull out from the Iran nuclear deal.